by sinful reactions due to his killing his grandfather and teachers. But at the same time, Arjuna sarcastically addressed Krishna sarcastically addressed Arjuna as Mahabhahu, mighty arm, because he at least did not accept the theory of Vaibhasikas, which leaves aside the Vedic wisdom. As a Kshatriya, Arjuna belonged to the Vedic culture and it behooved him to continue to follow its principles. So, very nice verse. Atachainam nityajatam, nityam va manne samrutam. Tathapiptam mahabhavo, nainam shochitum arhasi. So, this verse actually, Atachainam nityajatam, nityam va manne samrutam. So, tathapiptam mahabhavo, naivam shochitum arhasi. So now we'll study Srila Gurudev's commentary on this one. He's taken from Srila Vishwanath Thakurpad, who was the crest jewel of all the Rasik Vaishnavas. So, Atachainam nityajatam nityam va manne samrutam tathapitvam mahabhavo nayanam shochitum arhasi. Atachainam nityajatam nityam va manne samrutam Tadapitvam mahabhaho nainam shochitam arhasi. Also, ata, if however, manyase, you think, enam, this soul, nityajatam, always takes birth, va, or nityam, always, mritam, dies, tadhapi, still, tvamna, arhasi, you should not, shochitum, grieve, enam, for this soul, mahabhaho, O mighty Amma. If, however, you think that the Atma is always born and always dies, there is still no reason for you to grieve, O Mahabhahu. Sarartha Varshini commentary, Shri Bhagavan says, O Arjuna, what I explained to you so far has been based on Shastra. But now I'll help you to understand from the point of view of ordinary experience. Please listen very attentively. If you consider that the self is always born, and if you think that when the body perishes, the soul dies, even then, O Mahabhahu, as a valiant Kshatriya, it is your duty to fight. Regarding one's Swadharma, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 Canto, 54th chapter, 40th verse, Kshatriyanam ayam dharma prajapati vinirmita Bhratapi bhrataram hanyat yena ghoratarastata. According to the Swadharma of the Kshatriyas, who are created by Prajapati, one brother can even kill another brother. Therefore, Kshatriya Dharma is said to be very fierce. Sarata Varshiniti Varati, Bhagavan Shri Krishna stops trying to make Arjuna understand from the perspective of Shastra and is here making him understand from a common sense point of view by telling him that if he understands the Atma to be eternal, as explained in the Shruti and other Shastras, then there is no reason for grief. But even from a practical point of view, there is also no reason to grieve. Atheists like Charvak consider the Atma to be temporary, like the gross body, and say that it does not exist after death. Also, according to the philosophy of Vaibhashika Buddhist, if one considers the Atma to be always taking birth and dying, there is still no reason to grieve for it. So actually, Buddhist, they say that Atma always takes birth and dies. Still one should not lament. Actually, Buddhist philosophy is bogus philosophy, but still we should not lament either way. So here, text 27. Chatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvo janma mritasya cha tasmat aparihararte natvam shojitum arhasi. Amazing verse. This is also a very good verse. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu dhruvo janma mritasya cha tasmat aparihararte natvam shojitum arhasi. So here, for one who is born, death is certain. For one who has died, birth is certain. If one has faith in these words and believes in the next world, the incessant repetition of the cycle of birth and death, then it is natural for him to conclude, in my next life, I will have to reap the results of whatever I do in this one. This is unavoidable. शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरा गृहीत्वहितानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धारिवाशयात्. When the master of the body leaves it to take another, he carries his mind and the subtle senses with him, just like the breeze carries the fragrance from a flower with it. So Bhagavad-Gita, this 15th chapter, 8th verse, this is told, when in accordance with our accumulated karma, it comes time to change bodies, then our gross body falls away. That is clear to everyone. However, the subtle body consisting of mind, intelligence and ego is not destroyed and accompanies the living soul into another body, whether that of a human being or some animal species. Our destination is determined by the deeds we have done and the kind of consciousness we have developed. Shotram chakshuspashanam cha rasanam ghranam cha adhisthaya manashayam vishayanupasevate. In his new body, the embodied soul employs the sense objects, enjoys the sense objects with the senses of hearing, sight, touch, taste, and smell, centered about the mind, and that he has carried there from his previous body. Bhagavad Gita. So, in this verse, ayam means the individual soul. Only a conscious living entity can suffer or enjoy the results of past activities. The mind and senses can function only because of the presence of spirit soul in the body. The mind is a connecting link between the soul and the body. Without the presence of the soul, the senses would be completely inactive. Therefore, the Gita says, Vayur Gandhar Ivashayat. The soul takes along the mind and the subtle senses after death. Just like a breeze carries the fragrance from a flower. Say there is a jasmine bush in your garden. The fragrance of the bush, the subtle extension of itself, wafts through the air tight up to your nose. Huh? So the fragrance of the bush, the subtle extension of itself, wafts through the air right up to your nose. The flower itself does not need to come. In the same way, when the gross body dies, the subtle body accompanies the soul to the next body. In the new body, whatever it is, the soul again resumes the business of enjoying and suffering through the mind and the senses of hearing, sight, touch, taste, and smell. So, how does the subtle body accompany the soul into a new body? The subtle body consists of mind, intelligence, and ego. The mind of the conditioned soul does not think of God, but of so many other meaningless things. The intelligence is described as that aspect of mental machinery that makes decisions and is the source of our resolve. The word used in Gita is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi. Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Ekeha Kurunandana Bahushakhayanantasya Buddhayo Vyavasayinam. The intelligence born of a resolute determination is single pointed, Arjuna. The intelligence of those who have no such resolve branches off in an infinity of directions. Bhagavad Gita 2.41. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi refers to certainty. It has nothing to do with Vyavasa, the more commonly understood meaning of which is commerce or business. True intelligence means the ability to come to us to certainty about things. What is the most important thing to be certain about? Krishna is the one supreme Lord and I am his eternal servant. My only duty is to serve him eternally. The intelligence of those who are avyavasayi, who are uncertain and irresolute, goes off in many directions. Such persons are confused about what must be done and what should not be done. Sometimes they give primacy to the path of knowledge and sometimes the yoga. True spiritual ego is the identity as Krishna's servant, and any other identity is known as false ego. The destruction of the subtle body. When one takes up the path of bhakti yoga and achieves success in spiritual life, then the subtle body is destroyed. Animitta bhagavati bhakti siddher gariyasi jarayatya kosham nirginam analo yatha. Devotion to the Lord that is performed without any motivation is greater than perfection in yoga or liberation. It destroys the subtle body, covering the soul, just as the fire of digestion burns everything that one swallows. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 25th chapter, 33 verse. The Lord says, Aham Vaishvano Bhutvam Praninam Dehamashrita Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyanyam Chaturvidham. I am Vaishvanar, the fire of digestion. I take up residence in the body of every living being, where with the aid of the life airs, I burn the 4 kinds of food stuff. Gita 15.14. We have no conscious awareness of how food is digested. All we do is eat and then go to sleep. But at night, while we are sleeping, the fires of digestion are busily processing everything we have eaten. The word kosha in this verse refers to the subtle body. We have eaten and are unconscious of the work of digestion that goes on inside the body. In the same way, when pure devotion that is not adulterated with fruitive activity, philosophical speculation, and desire for mystic perfection, becomes progressively stronger and stronger, it burns away the subtle body of material mind and senses. Jaretyashu yah kosham nigiranam analuyatha. After this, the mind, intelligence, and ego are left with only one thing to do. And what is that? The mind will always think only of Krishna. As for intelligence, it is firm in its resolve, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, that Krishna is my eternal master and my eternal duty is to serve him. Vishwanath Thakur has so nicely explained this term, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, in his commentary to the Gita. The following resolve is only possible in the sincerest devotee who thinks, I will follow the process of devotional service as instructed by my spiritual master, hearing, chanting, and worshipping the lotus feet of Krishna. This is my practices. Indeed, this is the goal of my practice. This is my life itself, and I cannot give it up. Whether I have reached perfection or whether my practice remains flawed, this is all that I want and is my only duty. Other than this, I seek no other duties or responsibilities. Even in my dreams, whether I feel joy or distress in its execution makes no difference. My family life and worldly ambitions may or may not crumble around me. That makes no difference to me. Whether one has this kind of faith in the words of the spiritual master, then bit by bit, when one has this kind of faith in the words of the spiritual master, then bit by bit, the subtle body is destroyed. The subtle body is spoken of elsewhere in the Bhagavad-Gita. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahankaramiti yamme bhinna prakritirashtada apareyamitastamanyam prakritim viddhi me param Jiva bhutam mahabhavo yaedam dharyate jagat. My material nature is made of 8 separate energies: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, and intelligence. False ego. Besides these, O mighty Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind consisting of the living entities by whom the universe is sustained. So the material or lower nature consists of these 8, where the living soul is the higher energy. Krishna further describes the jiva as his part and parcel. Mamayimangsho jivaloke jiva bhutas sanatana manashashthanindriyani prakritisthani karshati. The living entities who appear in this world are my portions and they are eternal. While in this world, however, they drag the material mind and senses with them wherever they go. Bhagavad-Gita 15.9. The living being pulls all these elements along with him by his own power. The eyes, mind, everything, and with this enjoys sense gratification. Now, in this verse, Krishna calls the jivas his separated parts. The jiva is the separated part of the Lord. The Lord's personal parts, swamsha, are his incarnations, but the jivas are separated parts within Namsha. The usual example compares Krishna to a fire and the jivas to the sparks that are tiny individual parts of the fire. This example is only valid up to a certain point, as the spark is eventually extinguished and becomes a piece of ash. But the jiva's consciousness is never entirely extinguished, even though it may be covered. The jiva is a spiritual being characterized by consciousness. Just tatastham tu chidrupam स्वसंवेद्यात् निर्गतं रंजितं गुणरागेण सजीव इति कथ्यते. In Narad Pancharatra it is stated, Krishna's marginal potency is the spiritual beings who emanate from his samvit potency but have been affected by contact with the material energy. These spiritual beings are known as jivas. This verse states that the term jiva applies only to the eternal individual being when conditioned by the three modes of material nature. The natural state of the living being is to be transcendental to unconscious matter, but nevertheless comes under its influence. So here, very nicely explained that तस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मात् अपरिहारार्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. For one who is born, jatasya, he certainly, mrityu, death, is dhruva, certain, cha, and mritasya. For one who dies, janma, birth, dhruvam is certain. Tasmat, therefore, tvam, you, arhasi, should know, should na shochitum, not grieve. Aparihare arthe, in this inevitable situation. For one who is born, death is certain, and for one who has died, birth is certain. Therefore, you should not grieve for that which is unavoidable. When someone's prarabdha karma is exhausted, his death is certain. After death, he will inevitably take birth again so that he can enjoy the fruits of the actions performed in his previous body. It is not possible for anyone to escape the inevitability of birth and death. So, when prarabdha karma is destroyed, oh, you will certainly die. What can you do about it? Nothing can be done. So here, जातस्य ध्रुवो मृत्यु ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मात् परिहारार्थे नैवं शोचितुमर्हसि. जातस्य ध्रुवो मृत्यु ध्रुवं जन्म मृतस्य च तस्मात् परिहारार्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Jatasya, of one who has taken his birth, he is certainly dhruva, of fact. Mrityu, dhruvam, it is also fact. Janma, birth, mritasya, of the dead. Cha, also. Tasmat, therefore. Aparihare, of that which is unavoidable. Arthe, in the matter. Na, do not. Tvam, you. Shochitum, to lament. Arhasi, deserve. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament. One has to take birth according to one's activities of life, and after finishing one term of activities, one has to die to take birth for the next. In this way, one is going through one cycle of birth and death after another, without liberation. This cycle of birth and death does not however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter, and war. At the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. The battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of the Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of a Kshatriya. Why should Arjuna be afraid of or aggrieved at the death of his relatives, since he was discharging his proper duty? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of sinful acts. of which he was so afraid. By avoiding the discharge of his proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives, and he would be denigrated. He would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. So even if Arjuna doesn't fight, they were going to die anyways. Understand? So Arjuna should not lament. So very nice verses going on here. Now the next verse 28. Avyaktani bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhaneva tatraka paridevanam. So Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhaneva tatraka paridevana. So actually, this battle took place at Kurukshetra. So this Kurukshetra, very holy place actually. And Bhagavad-Gita was spoken there actually. Even today, so many people visit there. So we should regularly hear Bhagavad-Gita. So we get the benefit of visiting Kurukshetra, taking bath in Ganga very easily. Even more than that, you get transcendental knowledge. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhananiva tatraka paridevana. So Bharata, oh Bharat, eva certainly all bhutani beings are avyakta adini, unmanifest in the beginning. Vyakta, manifest, madhyani, in the interim. Nidhanani, and after death, they become avyakta, unmanifest. Tatra, therefore, ka, why? Paridevana, lament. Oh Bharat, all beings are unmanifest. Before their birth, they become manifest in a dream, and after death, they once again become unmanifest. So, what cause can be there for lamentation? In this way, having dispelled lamentation in respect to the Atma by the sloka, na jayate mriteva kadachin, Gita 2.20, and in respect to the body by the sloka jatasya dhruva mrityu, Gita 2.27, Shri Bhagavan now dispels the cause of lamentation for both the Jivatma and the body by speaking the shloka beginning with the word of Vyakta. Before death, devas, human beings, animals, birds, and so on remain unmanifest. So before birth, we are unmanifest. We are in the womb of the mother. We are not seen. Understand? Even at that time, the subtle and gross bodies are also exist in their casual state in the form of matter, such as earth, but they are in an unmanifest stage. They become manifest in the middle period, and after death, they again become unmanifest. In the period of dissolution and devastation, Mahapralaya, the Jivatma also remains in his subtle form because of the existence of his karma and matra, tendency to accept sense objects. Therefore, all jivas remain unmanifest in the beginning, again become manifest at the end. They only become manifest in the middle period. The Shruti also states, Sthirachara jataya syur ajayotha nimitta yuja. All the moving and non-moving jivas become manifest due to karma. Therefore, why should one cry out of grief? Srimad Bhagavatam 10, Canto 87, Chapter 29 verse. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Narad Muni says, first Canto 13, Chapter 44th verse. Yanma yanmanyase dhruvam lokam adhruvam na adhruvam mana chohayam sarvatha nahi shochaste sneha anyatra mohajat. Whether you consider the human being to be eternal jivatma or a temporary body, or even if you accept an indescribable opinion that he is both eternal and temporary, you do not have to lament in any way. There is no cause for lamentation other than the affection which has arisen out of delusion. Sarartha Vashni Prakashika Bhakti. All living entities are born from the unmanifest stage, remain manifest for some time, and again become situated in an unmanifest state. Just to explain this point, the present shloka has been spoken. In his explanation of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 Canto 87 chapter 29th verse, cited in the above commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that because all Jivatmas are manifest from Parameshwara, they are under his control. Parameshwara is beyond material nature, remaining detached from it. When he performs his pastime of glancing over the material nature, the moving and non-moving jivas become manifest with their past impressions of karma. Whatever the word utpanna, created, is used, it means to become manifest. If one asks how the jivas being merged in Parameshwar can take birth, the answer is given that it is by his glance and the inspiration of his will, Ichha Shakti. The past karma then becomes active, after which the Jivatma appears along with his subtle body. Then becoming united with the gross body, the Jivatma takes birth. In other words, when the designations born from the effect of material nature are dissolved, the Jivas are considered to have died. And when the Jivatma appears with his past karma impressions and gross and subtle bodies in various species of life in this material world, is said to have taken his birth. This is stated in Brihad Aranyaka Stuti. Yathagni Kshudra Visfulinga Vicharanti Enam Evasmad Atmanaha Sarve Pranaha Sarve Loka Sarve Deva Sarvani Bhutani Vicharanti. Just as the sparks from a fire, so the senses, such as the power to speak, the result of karma, such as happiness and distress, all the devas and all living entities, from Brahma down to the ant, appear from me, Paramatma. Mahabhagavad, Sri Yamaraj also says, Yatra gatas tatra gatam manushyam. The living entity goes back to the same unknown place from whence he comes. So Yamaraj has also said, Yamaraj is called Mahabhagavad, understand? He's a Mahabhagavad. So here we'll read the commentary of Srila Bhakti-Vidanta Swami Maharaj. Avyakta bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhanani tatra ka paridevana. Avyakta adini, in the beginning, unmanifested. Bhutani, all that are created. Vyakta, manifested. Madhyani, in the middle. Bharata, or descendant of Bharata. Avyakta, non-manifested. Nidhanani, when vanquished. Eva, it is all like that. Tatra, therefore, ka, what? Paridevana, lamentation. Translation. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Accepting that there are two classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of the soul and the other not believing in the existence of the soul. There is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by followers of Vedic wisdom. Yet even if, for argument's sake, we accept this atheistic theory, there is still no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of the soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. From this subtle state of manifestation comes manifestation, just as from ether, air is generated, from air, fire is generated, from fire, water is generated, from water, earth becomes manifested, from the earth, many varieties of manifestations take place. Take, for example, a big skyscraper manifested from the earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. The law of conservation of energy remains, but in due course of time, things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then what cause is there for lamentation, either in the stage of manifestation or in the unmanifestation? Some or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and only in the middle are they manifested. And this does not make any real material difference. And if we accept the Vedic conclusions as stated in the Bhagavad-Gita that these material bodies are perishable and in due course of time, antavatti me deha, but that the soul is eternal, nitya sokta sharirina, then we must remember always that the body is like a dress, and therefore while lament the changing of a dress, the material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream, we may think of flying in the sky or sitting on a chariot as a king, but when we wake up, we see that we are neither in the sky nor seated on the chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages self realization on the basis of the non existence of the material body. Therefore, in either case, whether one believes in the existence of the soul or one does not believe in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation for loss of the body. Text 29. Ashcharyavat pashyati kashyatenam ashcharyavat vadita daiva chanya ashcharyavat chainamanya shrunoti shutvapenam vedana eva kasyit. Ashcharyavat pashyati kashyatenam आश्चर्यवत् वदन्ति तथैव चान्या आश्चर्यवत् चैनम् अन्या शृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. So, आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चित् एनम्. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति. So here, आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चित् एनम् आश्चर्यवत् वदति तथैव चान्या आश्चर्यवत् चैनमन्यं शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Ashcharyavat, as amazing, pashyati, sees, kashchit, someone, enam, this soul, Ashcharyavat, as amazing, vadati, speaks. Speaks of. Tatha, thus, eva, certainly, cha, also, anyaha, another, Ashcharyavat, similarly amazing, cha, also, enam, this soul, anyaha, another, Shrunoti, hears of, Shutva, having heard, api, even, enam, this soul, Veda, knows, no, never, cha, eva, certainly, kashchit, someone. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing. While others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Since Gita Upanishad is fully based on the principles of the Upanishads, it is not surprising to find this parallel passage in the Katha Upanishad. 1.2.7 Shravanaya bahuviryo nalabhya Shravanantopi bhavayam na vidyu Ashcharyavakta kushalosya pablabdva Ashcharyajnatva kushalanusishta. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, billions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit. Even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe, owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful, either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul, the atomic soul, their respective functions and relationships, and all other major and minor details. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of the Bhagavad-Gita spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice either in this life or in the previous ones. Therefore, one is able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way. So, a very good verse. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवद् वदन्ति तथैव चान्या आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्या शृणोति श्रुत्वापि एनं वेद न चैव कश्चित् some person pashyati sees enam the soul आश्चर्यवत् as amazing cha also anya another vadati speaks of him आश्चर्यवत् as amazing tatha in the same way eva indeed anya another Shrunoti hears of him, cha, and eva, certainly, kaschit, some person, api, even Shutva, having heard enam of the soul, Naveda, does not understand. Some look upon the Atma as amazing, some speak of him as amazing, and some hear of him and accept him as amazing. Otherwise, however, even after the hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Shri Krishna is saying, oh Arjuna, if you ask what this amazing subject is that I am speaking about, then listen. It is indeed a matter of wonder that even after receiving this knowledge, your wisdom has not been awakened. In this regard, it is true, this subject is a matter of wonder. Only for this reason is this shloka, beginning with the word Ashcharyavat being spoken. This whole material world, in the form of the combination of the body and the Atma, is indeed a wonder. Sarartha Varshini Prakashika Pratyaya. Since the truth about the science of the Atma is very difficult to understand, the Atma, the person who instructs about the Atma, the instruction itself and the audience are all amazing. In other words, only some very, very rare, great persons look upon the Atma as amazing, and some very rare persons hear about the Atma and accept him as amazing. That most of the audience, even after hearing these instructions from one who is Tattvavid, a knower of the absolute reality, cannot realize the Atma is the most amazing. This is also explained in Katha Upanishad. Shravanaya api bahuveriyo na labhyas Shunvanto api bahavo yamna vidyo Ashcharyosya Vakta kushalo sarabdha Ashcharyosya jnata Kushala vishishta. The opportunity to hear instructions about the science of the self, Atma Tattva, is very rare. Even after hearing them, most cannot realize the instructions because a master who is self-realized, Atma Tattva, is very rare. If by grace and if by grace of great good fortune, such a teacher is available, the students themselves who are willing to hear this topic are also extremely rare. For this reason, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed the Jivatmas in Kali Yuga to perform Shri Harinam Sankirtan. If even faithless persons chant the name of Shri Hari while talking, walking, sitting, standing, eating, drinking, crying, laughing, or in any other way, they will still benefit from it. Gradually, they attain the association of Siddha Bhaktas, Shuddha Bhaktas. By such association, they can even attain Bhagavad Prem, and they easily attain knowledge of Atma Tattva as a secondary result. Madhura Madhurame Tan Mangalam Mangalanam Sakala Nigovalli Satfalam Chiswarupam Sakrati Viparikitam Shaddaya Hedayava Brigavardhana Matram Taret Krishnanama. Krishnanama is the sweetest of the sweet and the most auspicious of all that is auspicious. It is the flourishing creeper, the eternal, fully ripened fruit of the Bhagavatam, and the embodiment of knowledge, Chit Shakti. O Bhragumani, even if someone chants the holy name only once, either with faith or indifference, he is immediately delivered from the ocean of birth and death. Sankirtam parihasyam va stobam hedneva va vaikuntinam granam ashishagaram vidu. Srimad Bhagavatam 6.2.14. One who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins. Even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully, this is accepted by all the learned scholars of the Shastras. Hare Krishna. So, very nice instructions are going on. We'll continue next time. If anyone has any comments or questions, please ask me. We are stopping at text number 30 of chapter 2, and this we'll cover next time. Another nice verse is awaiting us. Dehi nityam baddhyam dehi sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochatum arhasi. So we'll discuss 2.30 next time. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarvasya kripa sindhuvevacha paridanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving us your time.
Hare Krishna.
Any questions, dear devotees? Okay, I don't think there's any questions, Mark. Please can you do it, Jagdimani? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Shri Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Bihar Ji ki Jai. Jai Pratyak Guru Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Gurudev ki Jai. La Prishtam Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitla Prishtam Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitla Prishtam Vishnupad Shri Srimad Guru Govind Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Nitla Prishtam Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Maharaj ki Jai. आचार्य केशरी श्री श्रीमद भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। सपरिका जगत गुरु जिला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से गो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपी गोवर्धन द्वारा शिवनाथ मंडल की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। त्रिवेणी स्वामी श्री भक्तिदान रेड्डी महाराज जी की जय। नाम निष्ठ संत श्री अनिरुद्धास प्रभु जी के मठे शिववृंद की जय। धामवासी भक्त वृंद की जय। समागत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। शिवज मंडल परिक्रमा की जय। जय श्री गुज्जावर्त की जय। जय श्री राधा रानी की जय। श्री श्रीमद भक्ति प्रमोद पुरी गोस्वामी महाराज जी की जय। So actually, we are seeing in the calendar also. I think some tithi is coming now. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. Tomorrow actually, his disappearance day is there. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. So today I read a little bit from his book. So I think tomorrow we'll discuss a little bit about him, and we'll offer him Shraddha Pushpanjali to Lotus Feet of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, whose disappearance we are celebrating. Then 8th is the completion of Vishnu Panchak. Then we'll be having 8th November is actually completion of Chaturmasya Vrata, Purnima. It also disappearance day of Srila Bhagavad Goswami and Shri Kashishwar Pandit. And Bhishma Panchak is finishing, and then there is Chandra Grahan, lunar eclipse, which will be seen in India, 2:39 to 6:19, about, I would say, 3.5 hours or 4 hours, 3 hours and 40 minutes to be precise. So during that time, no sleeping or eating. So, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavats, thank you so much. Sripad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Daivata Maharaj. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Vishaka Didi ki jai. So tomorrow we have a class, right?
Ji Maharaj, tomorrow and Tuesday. Both days.
Tuesday. So
yes.
tomorrow is Monday, so we have
7th. Tomorrow is Madhurya Kadambini.
Madhurya Kadambini, okay. And then day after tomorrow we'll have again Daivata Dharma. Okay.
Javada, yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining. And we'll see you all tomorrow, 12:30 IST India time with Sripad Bhakti-Vidanta Dandi Maharaj. If the time changes, we will let you all know, dear devotees. So please just bear with us with time, as Gurudev is gone to Vrindavan. So yes, I will see tomorrow with Gurudev and see what time, and then we'll let everybody know. So thank you all so much for joining.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vichar Patitanam Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna.